Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse is confirmed to be showing two different versions circulating throughout movie theaters. At first, we heard of a new version of the film being sent out to adjust for audio issues, but now I just saw the movie again a few days ago and noticed a few big differences. And the film's associate editor, Andy Leviton, confirmed that there are actually at least two different versions of Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse with different jokes, different dialogue, and people are just seeing different versions of it in the theaters right now. I suppose it's a kind of A and B testing of jokes, like when the movie Clue released in 1985 with one of three different alternate endings, which is a marketing gimmick that failed. So on the home release and the TV airings, they merged all three together into three back-to-back-to-back alternate endings. These Across the Spider-Verse alternate cuts don't appear to be any kind of marketing gimmick, but rather either updates that the animators made in the days after the film's initial release, or just an inside joke among the film's production. So I am going to break down all the changes between these two different versions of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And please subscribe to all three channels in the New Rockstars network: this channel for Easter egg breakdowns, the break room for our instant reactions and after shows, and the deep dive for special film analyses from me. And please support us with a Miles Morales Multiverse Dive shirt, which you can get at nerdriot.shop. Okay, the first difference: early in the movie, when Miguel is fighting the Vulture, his AI assistant Lila pops up asking if he wants her to call for backup. He resists at first, but then he caves, and then she says she already did. In version A, Lila says, "But I enjoyed that," and she extends a fist bump. But in version B, Lila says, "But I enjoyed that," and she takes a selfie with Miguel with a bunny rabbit filter over his face. Maybe they changed it because for Lila to be able to take a selfie with Miguel, logically she'd have to have some kind of camera function in her floating AI projection to record his face, or really maybe they just didn't want to make too much of a mockery of the movie's villain in this opening scene. Next difference also comes up in the scene. In version A, there's a big lead up to Miguel retracting his mask, showing his vampire fangs, those fangs reflecting in Vulture's eyes, Vulture screaming in fear, and then the helicopter interrupts Miguel so he holds back on biting. But in version B, we don't see any of that buildup, just Miguel about to bite the Vulture and then the helicopter shows up. Maybe the change was made because this film doesn't really explore Miguel's animalistic side, and in the re-edit they didn't want to set it up as much, but Gwen and Miles do call him a vampire later when swinging around the city. Okay, next, when Jeff Morales chases after his son, Miles, fighting the Spot in the street, Jeff gets pulled into the portal as well. In version A, Jeff reacts in close-up for just a few frames, but in version B, there's a slightly longer beat where Jeff groans and he kind of looks around. So this version keeps us in Jeff's point of view a bit longer to set up the great beat when Jeff needs to make a leap of faith into the portal and he just chickens out and runs down the stairs just like his son did in the 2018 film. Later, when Gwen goes to Jonathan Owen's apartment to digitally reconstruct the moment he built a mini collider to produce dark matter, before sticking his finger in the dark matter, the Spot says it should work or vaporize me and everybody in this building. And in version A, he ends it by saying, what the heck? But in version B, he ends it by saying, which would not be good. I think this is a significant change because in one version, the Spot is completely carefree about who he hurts in his pursuit, but in the other, he recognizes the recklessness of his behavior and he expresses at least a small amount of concern that he might hurt other people. I think the Spot's going to be revealed as a more sympathetic, redemptive figure in the next film, and I think that's why they made this change. Okay, next, when Miles meets Pravitra Prabhakar in Earth 50101, when Pravitra corrects Miles over chai tea, in version A, Pravitra says, "Would I ask you for a coffee with room for cream?" And Miles responds, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." And he drops his head in shame. But in version B, Miles responds, "I'm sorry, man," a bit more defensively. It's a subtle distinction, but I think it shows how Miles would, as a teenager accustomed to correcting people over things like ATM machine, would push back just a bit against someone who's been a Spider-Man not as long as he has. Your enjoyment of Marvel's Secret Invasion will not be complete if you don't watch Inside Marvel on New Rockstar's new channel, The Break Room. We are going to be answering all the burning questions after each episode and stop at nothing to uncover all of the scrolls in the MCU. The Break Room is our brand new channel with breaking news, reactions, after shows, and some really fun content that you've never seen from us before. On The Break Room, you'll see all the New Rockstars faces you've come to love, as well as friends of the channel, new and old. And celebrity guests will be legally obligated to make appearances. There are some up there already, for real. Go look for yourself. Join us for every episode of Secret Invasion as we pour over all the evidence to figure out who and who isn't a Skrull, and your hottest burning questions coming out of every episode. If you don't want to miss a single clue, subscribe over at youtube.com/breakroomnr. Okay, next, when Hobie crashes Miles' move at the Mumbattan Alchemax, in version A, Miles pops his head out from behind the computer terminal asking, "Hobie?" And there's no text over his head or anything. But in version B, they do add a little Hobie above Miles' head. Now before, maybe they felt Hobie Brown smashing text in his intro was enough of an introduction. But some common feedback is that many folks outside the UK could not understand what the hell Hobie was saying, or even really what his name was, because the letters flash on screen, popping off it with cutout newspaper text. So maybe now, for all of us babies he's out there. They precede it with a clarification, a little baby Miles Hobie. Okay, next, as the Mumbattan crisis comes to an end and Miles has swooped in to save Inspector Singh and that little kid on the bridge, all of them get caught under rubble. But in version A, Gwen rushes over frantically grasping, Miles, no, please no, come on. And then, thankfully she finds him with the kid still alive. But in version B, they for whatever reason removed all of Haley Steinfeld's lines here. She just kind of stays silent as she lifts the rubble. Now I'm not sure why they changed this. One version makes Gwen more likable, worried she's about to lose another friend like she lost her Earth 65 Peter. But after the change, you could say it does set up Miles later feeling betrayed that Gwen wasn't really trying to save him. She was just trying to prevent a canon event from being disrupted. Next, they head to the Spider Society, and when Malala Windsor asks, anybody spot the spot? And Jessica Drew responds, very funny, anybody else got jokes? In version A, every nearby spider person comes in with a yellow text box with a pun. But in version B, the text boxes are colored blue. Why? Well, yellow has always been the text box color for Miles in her monologue in this movie and in the 2018 movie. Coloring these blue makes Miles feel like more of an alienated outsider, like he's not in on the joke with all of them. It's not what's inside his head, it's what all of them are saying. Okay, there's another change with Ben Reilly. When they're all chasing Miles outside the Spider Society building, in version A, Ben says, this is called a sleeper hold. I'm using my bicep to constrict her. And then Miles zaps everyone off him. But in version B, Ben says, I've got you trapped in my well-defined musculature, so don't even, and then he gets cut off there. The new line draws even greater attention to the insane vein that pops out of Ben's bicep in the way that 90s Marvel comics were often drawn. Also, considering how mean everyone is to Miles in this movie, maybe we also just don't need Ben Reilly cutting off oxygen to his brain. Now, some say they might have cut Miles saying, sorry man, I'm going home, as he zaps Miguel on the train, but I confirmed he does actually say that line in both versions. But I want to know from you, do you think these changes were necessary? Did the animators just do this to Mandela affect us in a multiverse? Support us with a Miles Morales multiverse dive shirt at nerdriot.shop. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.